Item 7 on the agenda. Look at that, Councillor Baston up and ready to go. Right.
Thank you, Councillor Baldry. Members, the background of this scheme is that some businesses had lodged an appeal against their rateable value with the Valuation Office due to the impact of COVID-19. Under a basis called material change of circumstance, the government has said that this is not appropriate as a material change of circumstance, and instead the CARF, which is the, well, I've got a note of that somewhere, Additional Relief Fund, COVID Additional Relief Fund scheme has been passed into billing authorities to administer locally. So the COVID Additional Relief Fund scheme is a business rates relief scheme where the council will be administering business rates relief to eligible businesses in this current year 21-22. The rate relief awarded will be deducted from business rates bills in 21-22. The council's allocation is just over £1.6 million. There are some categories of businesses who are not eligible for this rate relief, being retail, hospitality and leisure businesses, due to the previous government business grants funding they have received. The types of businesses that will qualify for this rate relief are factories, depots, stores, warehouses, workshops and business units, for example. I would like to draw members to your attention to a change to the printed recommendation in the report. We've now inserted the section 151 officer, so it now reads, it is proposed to delegate the approval of a scheme to administer the COVID-19 Additional Relief Fund, which is being called CARF, to the section 151 officer in consultation with the leader, deputy leader and the executive member for communities. These are the three members of the council's rate relief panel. Thank you, Chairman.
Questions? Yeah, Councillor Sweet.
Sorry if I don't know, but who are these three members? Yeah, I missed that too. The three members of the council rate relief panel.
The leader,
Yourself.
the deputy leader and the executive member for communities who lives in Kingswear.
Yeah, I know who.
Okay, are you happy with that? Yeah. Right. Any other questions? Yes. Councillor Kemp, sorry.
What sort of businesses will be eligible? Is that something I've missed? We will be notified, I take it, of...
I think you'll find they're in the papers, Councillor Kemp.
Right, okay.
Examples, I did give some examples of businesses that would be able to apply for this rate of relief, and they are sort of like factories, depots, stores, warehouses,
right, okay.
Workshops and business units. And these were people who weren't able to apply for some of the other grants that have been available under the COVID period.
Right, okay, thank you.
Right, thank you. If there are no more questions, the updated recommendation. Sorry, Councillor McKay.
Just a quick question. Does this include, would it include marine industries, those that didn't have rateable value properties before?
Sorry. Yeah, I think we catered for those under a previous ARG grant. I can see Mrs. Dobby nodding her head. Yes, we did cater for those under a previous.
Mrs. Dobby? She's been on your...
Oh, God. Sorry.
Councillor Paston, I think it's both of us showing our age when we get there. Somewhat wrong. Right, if there's no more questions on the on this is set on the screen, which is updated. Can it be proposed and seconded, please?
Oh, yes, sorry, I propose it.
Seconded. By
I'll second it. I'll second it.
Well, I think Councillor Olsen's done that. Thank you very much. Can we have, no, we'll debate the, introduced by the proposer. No?
Sorry? Councillor Sweet wants to say something.
We're in the debate. Councillor Sweet.
Oh, well, was this kind of like a question, really, a better
Oh, doesn't
question than the
matter.
previous
You
one?
work a
But
question into the
I just
debate.
wondered why the previous team that administered all the other grants, the ARG grants and the business grants, weren't going to be administering this one. Just
Councillor Pearce.
Chairman, somebody's got their microphone. Somebody's got a microphone on. Still.
I wonder who
Right.
that was.
Chairman, all members are notified 8 days before a meeting that the papers are online and ready to be read. It's becoming increasingly obvious that members do not bother to read the papers because if they did, they wouldn't be asking the questions they're asking now. So can I put out a plea, please, that next time we have a council meeting, that everybody endeavours to read the papers, and when they come to any other meeting, all members have endeavoured to read the papers, or anybody who wants to ask any questions, so that they don't waste everybody else's time asking questions that the answers are in the papers.
the answer to this isn't in the paper, is it? I just wondered what.
The answer to who's on the panel is in the paper.
Yes, it is,
Mrs.
and that's why I
Buckle,
just apologise for that. But I just asked why the team that had administered the previous.
Because the paper explains that it's being refunded through business rates, and they're going to be deducted off next year's business rates. Paper explains it all.
Right. I think Mrs. Buckle nodding her head up and down the right way.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Yes, the difference is this one is not where we are awarding money in terms of a business grant. This scheme is where we're actually awarding rate relief, so it will be a deduction of businesses' business rate bill for the 21-22 financial year. So it's a rate relief scheme rather than a business grant scheme.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I realise that. Thank you.
Anybody else got anything to say? You have a right as seconder to say something, Councillor Austin? No? Right. Then does the proposer want to say anything more? Councillor Austin? Right, thank you. So, confirm the wording, the substantive motion is as on the screen, yes?
That's correct.
So we need to have, how do we vote on this one?
Show of hands by
Show of
default.
hands. All those in favour?
That is unanimous to the recommendation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Right, we'll now move on to the business break. Calendar of meetings, I missed that. Calendar of meetings. The leader, calendar of meetings that we've got.
Thank you, Chairman. Members, you have before you, right at the end of the paper, there's a landscape page that gives you the dates of meetings for the municipal year 22 to 23. Now, there are a few things I should point out to you on this. You'll see, for instance, in January, has two dates. That's because of the joint DM and overview and scrutiny meeting, which you'll see in the box below, is on the 12th. And it will be a question of the amount of business on the overview and scrutiny agenda as to whether it can be that afternoon or whether it needs to be held on the 19th. So that, I hope, explains those dates. And the DM meeting, there's some doubt about Easter next year and when the meeting will be. And equally, there are some site inspection dates that may vary according to that. And the 6th and the 26th would have to be on the Tuesdays because they fall after bank holidays. So I think those are the anomalies. Now, this jigsaw is just that. If you move one date, it affects loads of other things. So officers have worked really hard on this and it's taken a long time to put together. And don't forget, our officers can't be in two places at once. So it also, consideration also has to be given to West Devon, although usually they're on Tuesdays and we're on Thursdays, so usually it's not a problem. But because of all the difficulties of getting it to actually work properly, I would advise that we would want the minimum of disruption. Now, I think the intention is that we should all agree to it today. If there are any absolutely overriding considerations, like we've missed an important DCC meeting or something like that that we didn't know about, then please come back to us by the 31st of March, as we may, but we may not, be able to organise some changes of dates. So this is how it stands at the moment, and I hope that everybody will be able to accept it as such. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Birch. Question?
Yeah, big question, yes. See, in December, we've got on the 15th of December a council meeting, and also on the same day we've got an ONS meeting. Now, I don't know whether this is some manoeuvre to exclude ONS members from full council. I'm sure it's not. But, I mean, if I'm presuming the logic behind this is that the ONS meeting will be in the morning and the full council meeting in the afternoon. If that is the case, then I think it's cutting it a bit fine, bearing in mind it's December. So I would ask that perhaps that could be reviewed so as to avoid any possible overlap or overworking members on that day.
I've had her whisper in my ear that the alternative day for ONS was Christmas Day.
Well, that's okay. I'll go for that.
Right, okay. Councillor Hodgson, I think you wanted to ask a question?
I just wanted to point out that in terms of clashes with Devon County Council, I have mentioned this to the officers already, but I'm just flagging it up for everybody else. The 16th of February 23 and the 25th of May 23, both the full council at this schedule clash with full council at Devon County Council. The officers have suggested that maybe our meetings should take place in the mornings to accommodate that. It's going to be a bit of a rush for those of us with two hats on here, but that's just to say that that's the situation.
All right. Yes.
Sorry, Chairman. Can you just confirm, please, the time dates of meetings? I know that's it, but are we reverting to executive starting at 10 and every other meeting, including ONS, starting at 2, as we're used to previously?
Starts at 10.
We are, with the exception of the clash which Councillor Birch alluded to, which that would be in the morning. But by default, they would be 2 p.m. with the exception of exec and DM as well on a Wednesday.
Yes, Mr. Fairburn.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I suggest that, given that there are a number of amendments, that the recommendation is amended slightly so that it's to approve the calendar of meetings subject to further changes being delegated to the head of paid service in consultation with the chairman, and then that will give you the necessary flexibility to make these changes. Otherwise, I think we might be going through unravelling the jigsaw.
Okay, everybody happy with that? Okay. So we don't need to debate this,
Chairman, well, I'll move that recommendation.
if you would.
As amended by the monitoring officer, I'm happy to accept this amendment. I think that's right, put that up on the screen. So the amendment's going up on the screen, and at the same time, if Mr. White didn't manage to get all those submissions down, could I suggest to the people who made comments about the dates that they are sent to Mr. White so that he can coordinate altering the dates, and perhaps he could also inform all members of the dates that are in doubt, so that all members are aware of what those dates are, and otherwise you can assume that the rest of the dates are all right, and so if you want to book your holidays and things, you can, because I think this is what this is all about.
Okay, so we're to the situation where everybody's happy with what we're up, so we're coming up to voting on a recommendation. The only thing I will throw in, I saw the look of horror on Councillor Baldry's face when they were worried about where Easter was coming. I think it's something like the third Sunday after the first new moon in March.
The first Sunday after the first new moon after the 21st of March.
You see, there's always somebody that knows. Thank you for that, Councillor Thomas. Right. Yeah, the recommendation's been changed. Everybody happy with that?
It's been changed to leader, not chairman.
Leader. All right. Is that right, or should it be the leader?
I think it should, well, it's only you for council meetings, it's me for the rest.
Yeah. Should that be leader?
Why? You beat me to it.
Right. Good job, Mr. White's quick, isn't it? Right, okay, come on, let's get your hands in the air now before we go any further. All those in favour?
That's unanimous. Thank you, Chair.
Right, so that's that. We'll go on to item 9, reports of bodies. Now, we can just get people, the members, Councillor Brazil, would you like to do the Development Management Committee, the 10th? We don't go through page by page anymore.
So I present the DM Management Committee minutes for the 10th relating.
Yeah, no, no.
So moved, Chair.
Good. Item B, again, Councillor Brazil, the minutes of the Salford Harbour Board on the 15th of November, and there are no recommendations.
So I'll present those minutes as outlined by the Chair. Any questions? No, so moved, Chair.
Thank you. Item C, the executive on the 2nd of December, page 71 of the agenda pack. Councillor here to present the minutes. There are 3 recommendations. Councillor Pearce.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I present these minutes for noting. The first recommendation that we need to look at is at the top of page 73, and it relates to the salary savings earmark reserve. Has everybody got that one? Are there any questions on that recommendation? I'm going to go to the vote.
Okay, so we'll move on to item...
No, we need to vote on it.
Sorry.
All in favour of application E65 21 members?
Yeah.
Thank you, that's unanimous.
So we'll go on to item D.
No, hang on. So the next one.
Oh, sorry.
The next one is on page 75. There are 3 altogether. This is the second one.
Yeah.
So on page 75, about halfway down the page, there's a recommendation at 7 to continue to be part of the Devon Business Rates pool for the next municipal year, and the rest of that recommendation.
All those in favour?
27 in favour, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And the third
The
recommendation?
third one comes at the top of page 76, and it's about the council delegating authority to the head of page service in consultation with the lead executive member for the built and natural environment and the director of strategic finance, recruiting extra staffing where there's a clear and demonstrable need for planning applications, needing extra officers there. And I think everybody was in agreement that this was going to be. Okay.
Councillor Hodgson, you got a question?
Yes, if I may. Is this connected in any way with the motion that we passed in December 2020 regarding character area assessments, where we said we would be recruiting additional staff? Is it linked in the back? Because those would be heritage officers. So that's not happened. Okay.
This is only about DM officers, Councillor Hodgson,
Okay.
in connection with the increased volume of planning applications.
Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour?
It's unanimous for that recommendation, thank you, Chair.
That's what we have to bring
Right,
back.
Item D, Development Management Committee of the 15th of December, Councillor Brazil.
Yes, I will present those minutes as per outlined by the chairman. Any questions? So moved, Chair.
Thank you. And item D, the meeting of the Development Management Committee on the 19th of January.
Again, present those minutes as outlined by the chairman. Any questions? No, so moved, Chair.
Item F, Overview and Scrutiny Panel Meeting, 20th of January 22, page 95 on the agenda pack. Councillor Birch.
Yes, I present the minutes of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee meeting held on the 20th of January 2022 for noting.
Thank you. Item G, Executive Meeting held on the 27th of January. Page 103 on the agenda. Councillor Pearce to present the minutes. There are no recommendations to council.
Chairman, I present the minutes for noting of the executive meeting on the 27th of January 2022.
Thank you. And now we move on to item H, Audit Committee recommendation relating to the external auditor appointments will be set out on the screen for a decision. Does the chairman of the audit committee wish to say anything on this?
I'd like to refer to Mrs. Buckle.
Right.
Might like to just. Sorry, can I just refer to Mrs. Buckle, who can let members know anything they want to know on this particular discussion and debate?
Thank you, Chairman. So this was a unanimous recommendation from the Audit Committee, and this is so to look at the procurement route for procuring our external auditor provision. And so at the moment we have Grant Thornton. And we will be able to decide from which procurement route we go down. So there is a choice. We can go through the national procurement route, which is through Public Sector Auditors Appointments, which is PSAA. And last time this happened, 97% of councils went down the national framework for procurement. That was the recommendation which the Audit Committee has made to full council today, that we do the same sort of thing. The benefits of going down that national procurement route for our external auditors is that it would ensure a timely auditor appointment. We would be able to manage the independence of the auditors. More importantly, we could secure some very highly competitive prices, save obviously on procurement costs, save time and effort needed on auditor panels, and we could also focus on audit quality. So the recommendation, which was unanimous from the Audit Committee to Council, is actually to go down that national route again and secure our external audit provision through the public sector auditor appointments. The only thing with going down that route is that we would have to have whoever were the successful tenderer under that national procurement framework. So, for example, last time it was Grant Thornton, and that is then for the next 5 years. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mrs. Buckle. So Mr. White, now all we want is a show of hands.
Assuming there's no debate, Chair, indeed.
Do you want any debate? No. Doesn't look like it.
All in favour of the recommendation?
All in favour of
as
the
per
recommendation, yeah.
That's unanimous for that recommendation. Thank you, Chair.
Right, thank you very much, everybody. Item 10, public question time. None received. Questions on notice? None received. So we'll move on to item 12. Motions on notice. 4 have been received. And the first one is from Councillors Brown and Pearce. Councillor Brown, would you simply move the motion as outlined on the screens?
I so move, Chairman.
Councillor Pearce, would you like to second it? Second. Councillor Brown, would you like to introduce the motion?
I would. Thank you very much, Chairman. I believe Mr. White, I've sent Mr. White an amendment as proposed by, I think, Councillor Hopwood to this motion. Should I allow Councillor Hopwood to move her amendment first, or?
In yellow.
Through you, if it's a consent of the meeting for this to become a substantive motion, then we can, in effect, supersede the original motion.
Okay, thank you. In that case, members, I'll just outline the nature of this motion. For those members not aware, and I appreciate there will be many members who aren't aware, Plymouth City Council, obviously as neighbouring authority, set out a statement of intent and semi-declared a national marine park within the last sort of 18 months or so. And as this motion reads, I believe that there could have been a little bit more consultation with neighbouring authorities, not just ourselves, but around the area. That the purpose of the marine park is supposedly a designation of an environment which is obviously Plymouth Sound, and obviously Plymouth Sound has within its remit elements of the South Hams, including in particular Bovisand. And so the reasoning behind my motion here is that Plymouth City Council have now appointed an interim CEO to oversee the first steps of this National Marine Park, and to ask that the Director of Place and Enterprise, Mr. Brooke, writes to the new CEO asking for some significant consultation and indeed to meet with myself and other local members that are affected by this potential proposal so that we can be fully involved in the consultation process and see what it really means, which at the moment I'm not 100% clear on. There are obviously a number of existing designations within my ward in the South Hams. We've got obviously the AONB status. There are triple SIs, Site of Special Scientific, Site of Special Scientific Interest, and indeed the Heritage Coast element to it. So we want to make sure that any potential designation complements and pays respects to those existing designations and sort of doesn't seek to overturn them or undo them in any way. So that is the purpose behind my motion, which I hope the council will support. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pearce, do you want to speak now or do you want to hold your seconder?
I'm actually happy to speak now. And I'm going to try and do a 3-minute roundup of what this is all about. Is that all right if I speak now?
That's fine. Yeah, you're
okay.
entitled to.
Right, thanks. So, Elaine Hayes has recently been appointed as the interim chief executive of the Marine Park. She's got a really impressive CV for this kind of thing. She successfully led the development of the Devon and Severn IFCA and chaired it for 8 years. She's worked in the North Devon AONB. She's been a special advisor to the Blackdown Hills for the last 6 years. And previous to that, she worked on wildlife and marine projects such as the Sussex Wildlife Trust and the Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust. Now, what the marine park aims to be is, if you like, it's a kind of AONB under the sea. And so its aims are very similar to, I think the nearest thing I can put to it is the AONB management plan. And so its aims are to support the ongoing enhancement of our world-class natural environment and heritage landscape, get the entire city, and they could add, and the surrounding areas, in fact they have, and surrounding communities involved in the sound, increase access to heritage so everybody can enjoy its benefits, provide new employment opportunities and career pathways in sustainable future ocean jobs, position Plymouth as a UK top day visitor destination,